Hi, friends. This is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and the excellent Dungeons and Dragons film Paddington in Peru. Wait a second, Scott. Paddington in Peru is not a Dungeons and Dragons film. Of course it is. It features Forge Fitzwilliams. He's right in the film. He talks to Paddington directly at the end of the film. Of course, it's a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Nothing that succeeds in Hollywood today is not connected directly to Dungeons and Dragons canon. Okay, are you kidding me? All right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about why every Dungeon Master and every Dragon Master needs to see Paddington in Peru. So first of all, 5 out of 5 star film. So you will be blessed as a Dungeon Master if you watch it, because you will understand how to craft a fantastic narrative that does exactly what the second best Dungeon Master in the world, one of the best Dungeon Masters in the world, B. Dave Walters, an official Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master, says we should do. He says that what he does when he sits down when he goes to Dungeon Master is to evoke emotion. That if someone at the table is feeling something, he has done it right. So that's an excellent way to describe Paddington in Peru. This was an extremely emotional film. So first of all, spoilers for Paddington in Peru here. So this really shocked me. In this film, we actually find out, so Paddington is a foundling. He is literally found in London with no parents. And so the Brown family bring him in and take care of him. And he actually has a tag on him that says, please take care of this bear, right? So we don't know where Paddington comes from, but in this movie we find out. Paddington is from the lost city of El Dorado. Now, a lot of people thought that the lost city of El Dorado contained gold, but that wasn't true. It's actually an orange orchard, right? And the best oranges in the world are found in El Dorado. So we find this out in the film. So Paddington finds his tribe of bears, where he was born, right? But at the very end of the film, we find out that Paddington has found his tribe, and then he has to decide which world to live in. Will he live in the lost city of El Dorado with his tribe, or will he return to London and live with his family, the Browns, right? And so he actually goes to the Browns and he says, hey, I really want to live with you. I want to live with you, the Brown family, rather than with my tribe. And I thought this was really heartwarming. I really thought it was excellent. And it was really exciting and pure and delightful. And it actually made me cry. I cried in the film. I was so struck by this, because I thought for sure that this was going to be the end of the Paddington films, right? That he had found his tribe, he would now stay with his tribe, and he would live as a bear, right? But he said that he wanted to live as a human lives in London and continue to talk to human beings and continue to function as a bear among humans. I thought this was really fascinating, and I think the reason this was crafted this way is Dungeons and Dragons has fully infiltrated so many properties, and now of course it's infiltrated by the Forge Fitzwilliams character. And I think the reason Paddington in Peru was structured this way was to explain was so that we could have a meta narrative, a meta dialogue among the Dungeon Masters and Dragon Masters that watch this film. And what is that meta dialogue? Well, it is really fascinating. That meta dialogue is the question of what world do we choose to live in, and where do we put our alliance, right? So we, and this is very real for dungeon masters and dragon masters. I cannot stress this enough, right? And I don't think people are really getting this, so I'm really trying to explain it to people on this channel. We don't, once you become a dungeon master and a dragon master, you really don't function as a normal human being anymore. You will have seen the sunrise on 30 worlds, right? And so that means you have to choose which world you're going to live in, which one will be your primary home, right? And the rest of the world is stuck. This IRL is all they have, right? But that's not the case for us. We can choose to live whatever we wish in these other worlds, either at the table or beyond the table, right? And this is exactly like, and this is very much exactly like Paddington. He got to choose between this secret hidden world, which is of course an analog for Eberron, Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, for any of the worlds we could choose, right? Or to go back to London, right? And live as a bear among humans. And this is very much us. We really don't function as humans anymore. We are now fully manifold sentient, right? We don't just live with one set of thoughts, one set of emotions, one set of memories, one set of sensations. We have 30 to 300, right? 30 if you're a good player, a good dragon master, 300 if you're a dungeon master, right? These are different worlds, and just like Paddington had to choose the world he would live in, we have to do the same. We have to choose which world we will give most of our intelligence, our emotion, our spirit to, right? And that might not be the IRL. I think increasingly there are many dungeon masters and dragon masters that are finding more of themselves in the worlds at the table and the world beyond the table, more than the IRL, right? And this is a different level of living as human beings, and only dungeon masters and dragon masters even have this space to have this conversation and to really explore this capacity, this option that we have that others simply don't, right? So really is quite fascinating. I really think it's, a pretty astounding, it's a pretty astounding choice that we have. The other thing that we have is that others simply don't, is who is our tribe, who is our families, right? And what would those be, right? Our families are quite literal, right? Our blood relatives here in the world, okay? How much time do we give them? How much focus do we give them, right? How much of ourselves do we give them, right? And then also there are the other dragon masters at the table. Are they as important to us as family, right? They're of course our tribe, but are they our family, right? Or actually, are we going to elevate them above our family? Not are they there for our family? Are we going to elevate our tribe above our family? It's a valid option, right? Like it is, and many people today are choosing it. Actually, is it a valid option? That's a good question. I don't know if it's a valid option. I do know that many people are doing it. It is definitely something that is happening. People saying, I'm going to choose to elevate my tribe above my family. It's an interesting question. So it could be your fellow dragon masters, those physical meat sack humans that are around the table, or it could be your allies and your friends in the realms of Dungeons and Dragons, Eberron and Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms, and your own Dungeon Masters world that they've created. You can choose to spend as much time and as much focus and as much energy as you wish with them. So if you're a Dungeon Master or if you're a Dragon Master, you've got to see Paddington in Peru. It really, the primary focus of the film is this question of how do we actually how do we consider this question? It's really, really fascinating in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.